and welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning. We are working with Olivia Hirschberger and Jill Sullivan. Jill is with the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections, and Olivia is with Simply Give. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning. Thanks for
Good
having
morning.
us.
Olivia, first of all, let's remind everyone about Simply Give and the organization that you, a busy mom of four, decided to start.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Simply Give was created about 3 years ago just to encourage people to love on their families and extend that love into the community. So over the last few years, we've hosted almost actually 30 events. And our next upcoming event is going to be all about reaching out to women who are incarcerated. We just want to love on women just in the community, all throughout the community.
What put this on your heart, Olivia?
I guess knowing Jill, we've been friends for a while now, and just seeing all the awesome work that she's doing in the prisons and just her testimony herself, she's just been amazing. So I wanted to do something to come alongside her and help her in any way that we could.
And this is going to be taking place when?
This is going to be Thursday night, tomorrow night, at First Christian Church from 6 to 8. And at this event, we're going to hear Jill's testimony, the testimony of a young mother who actually Jill reached out to in prison and totally helped and showed her the love of God. So we're going to be collecting toiletries for these women.
And if a person is still not able to come because it's tomorrow night, can they still donate toiletries and help out?
Of course.
What do you need?
We are collecting very specific items due to the different chemicals and the products. So we'll be collecting these items: Lady Speed Stick, Colgate toothpaste, Suave 2-in-1, VO5 shampoo and conditioner, and individually packaged toothbrushes. One more thing that we're collecting besides those toiletries is yarn. Jill had brought to my attention that the women, as a service project, make blankets for the homeless and hospice patients.
Wow.
So we'll be collecting yarn. If someone has a stash of yarn and they're cleaning out their yarn closet, we would love to have that yarn for these women to make these blankets for people.
Take all those unfinished projects, unravel them, and give those to you as well.
Yes,
that would be great. Is there a place, because you said very specific brands, is there a place where that list is written up?
They can find it on our Facebook page, Simply Give, or on our Instagram if they just type in Simply Give. Or if you're really into the hashtag thing, if they just click Simply Give, hashtag Simply Give, that'll take them to all of our flyers. And I just want to let people know, too, that these items are mostly sold at the Dollar Tree for $1 each.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
So hit that up and just fill a basket and drop it on over to First Christian Church in Canton?
Yes.
Okay, right there on Market Avenue.
Correct.
Got it. Jill, hi.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us this morning. First of all, let's find out a little bit about you. Tell us a bit about your background. Olivia says you have an amazing testimony.
So about 16 years ago, I found myself incarcerated, very far from God, hooked on drugs, dated a drug dealer that was very abusive, and just really in a place where I didn't have anything to turn to. And these ladies that were coming into the jail were just talking about Jesus. And every single time I would go to any Bible study or anything where they were talking about God, it was like the inside of me was just so drawn towards what they were saying. And it was in that time, it was about 2001, that I received Christ as my Savior. And it was like everything in my entire life started to shift on the inside first. And fast forwarding at 16 years, I've just went to school to become a chaplain, and I just love being able to go into prisons and any place where there's incarcerated women and letting them know that God has an amazing plan for their life and that He'll turn their life around if they will just turn their life over to God.
I would think anyone you meet in prison, once they hear you say, "Oh, I was once in your shoes," right there, aren't they stunned? Do they listen?
They absolutely are. And even just the transformation that God has done in my life with, being in a jail cell with absolutely nothing to, being able to become a chaplain, and not only that, to be a local business owner and to be able to just give back to the community. It has been just amazing to be a part of watching what God's done in my life.
What do you do in addition to being a chaplain?
So our family owns restaurants, local restaurants right there in Stark County. We own Ponchos, we own Tim's Tavern, and
awesome.
Cosmos Grill.
Yeah, love your restaurants. Say them all again.
You.
I stepped right on top of you. Say them all again.
No, you're fine. Cosmos Grill in Massillon, Tim's Tavern in Canton, and Poncho Southwestern Grill in Green.
Best key
So
lime
my
pie.
husband runs those.
Best key lime pie in Stark County, right there at Cosmos in Maslin. Absolutely.
Aw.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And those homemade potato chips. Okay, I'm needing some like right now. As soon as we're done talking, I'm going to have to make a run over there. Jill, you are able to get into their heads and understand these women in ways other people could not. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. I think that the passion within me comes from really remembering the desperation of really not having clear direction in my life and just thinking outside of not knowing about God and not knowing that he loved me or that he had a plan for me. And I feel like as I share that with the ladies, they really connect, because when you are living in that drug lifestyle, it's a whole nother way of life. And so to just be able to say, hey, I was there and this really works and Jesus really loves you and he's really a person and he wants to help you, I feel like it really touches them in a personal way.
I'm thinking that a lot of times we are nervous or hesitant to say something about Jesus because of the reaction a person might give us. That you say as an incarcerated woman, you didn't really run away from that message. You were really drawn to that message. Yes? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I was really drawn to the message, and really I felt like as the women would talk about God in that room, that the atmosphere would shift. Like it wasn't even, it was what they were saying, but it was also the way that I was feeling on the inside. And I knew that there was something about it that I needed and that I wanted, and it just drew me.
And so 16 years ago, you took that plunge. Did you get any ramifications from your fellow prisoners? What was their response?
You know what? A lot of people would look at you and say, oh, that's crazy. Everybody finds, Jesus in jail. And, I did deal with a lot of that, even on my transition out. But a lot of people would say, well, look what happens when you keep Jesus. And that's what I did. And that's what a lot of the girls who are getting out now as a chaplain, and I watch them and they're transitioning, like to keep Jesus and to keep the local church at the forefront of what you're doing. Yeah. He really makes himself so real as you're transitioning. And so, yeah, there's a lot of haters out there that make fun of, what I do and even maybe don't fully understand what's going on, but Jesus just steps in and he makes himself so real, and It's just awesome to be a part of.
Well, and I think 16 years later, it's stuck. I think people can say, oh, yeah, okay, this was for real. You're not acting.
Right.
You, being right there, we see prison movies, and it makes it look like such a hard life. Is there a culture? Is there a way of life in prison that people have to acclimate to? And if so, then how difficult is it to re-enter non-incarcerated life?
I would definitely say that it's a whole nother way of life. Even AA teaches, the transition with people, places, and things. And I would definitely say that within the incarcerated people that are in there, there's a whole nother way of life. They're addicted to not only the drugs, but the lifestyle. And even within the prison, there's drugs and things that are brought into the prison, and you see it's a whole nother lifestyle. And so, yeah, I do watch the ladies as they transition out. They really do have to watch, the places where they're hanging out. And we try to find safe housing for them to transition into areas that are not places where they, ran in before, or around different types of people, even finding local churches that will open their arms to them, even though they're covered in tattoos and may look different, but just being able to find those people that will love them and accept them. And so that's what we really try to do, as chaplains working for the state of Ohio, to help them find that place where they'll be able to be successful in their transition. So yes, finding that different lifestyle it's definitely something they have to step towards and work at.
I think it's very difficult to even think about how hard it would be to step out of those doors, those prison walls, and have to try to completely reinvent yourself with a whole new group of people that you're around. There might even be family members that were involved in dragging you down or taking you this direction, that you almost have to cut some people off, right? And associate yourself with a new group of friends. How do you start completely over? And what can we do to help women start over?
Going back to when I transitioned out, you do have to cut off the ties with the people that you used to use drugs with. And that would even be a trigger point for you to want to go back to that, because when things get hard, it seems like it would be easier to go back to that, but I believe that's just a trap of the enemy. And I think as a community, so Faith Family Church has a campus of their local church within the prison system. And a lot of the girls, I want to say it's like 30 to 40% of the people in our prison in Cleveland where I work, they transition back to Stark and Summit County. And so just having local churches where they can go in there and have the open arms of the people and to make new friends, to have employers in the community that would be willing to give them a chance, of hiring them on. I feel like that's a way as a community that we can really help the incarcerated people.
Yes, absolutely. Employment would be so important to help someone not fall back into an easier way to make a buck, really.
Yes.
But an illegal way.
Right.
So is there training that they get inside prison that prepares them so that they can have a little bit of a leg up when they get out?
So the prison that I work at, we're a reintegration center, and our primary focus is to teach the ladies skills that they would be able to get hired on somewhere, whether it be through culinary school, they get ServSafe certified. We have a dog program where they learn about grooming dogs and training dogs. We have a salon they can learn about doing cosmetology. We have a military program that teaches a lot of things about the military and opportunities in that respect. So yes, we try really hard to work with the community in those types of areas. And I'm sure that other prisons, as I've gone to different things for the DRC, there's other prisons that are doing other things of that nature or a little different to feed into the community so that when they walk out the door, there's already opportunities and they're getting the training while they're incarcerated so that when they walk out, they're able to just step right into a job.
Oh, Jill, actually, that sounds kind of awesome. So I want to just really emphasize, don't go to jail so that you can have these kinds of opportunities. That's not a reason, because it really sounds like you've got all the bases covered and help people step right into a job as soon as they leave. But still not worth it. Do not commit crime. Crime does not pay.
It does not.
I love the idea of what you must have seen on the faces of people as you entered school to become a chaplain. And that first time you were asked, why do you want to be a chaplain? Well, you see, I was incarcerated, and it really meant a lot to me. Well, how was your schooling and the whole prep for what you're doing now? How did that go?
You know what? Honestly, I felt like it was nothing but the Lord, the way that He lined the steps up and got me connected with the right people. When I first started in to do my clinical pastoral education, I was told that I wouldn't make it. I didn't have the degrees that I needed to be able to successfully complete it. And they honestly didn't even know why they were allowing me into their program, but they did. And they made me, it was really funny because they made me the chaplain of the trauma unit. And so I was overseeing the ICU in a Trauma One hospital, working with families day in and day out who were losing loved ones. And we were told as chaplains that we were not allowed to talk to them about God. They had to ask us questions.
Wow.
So I had to come up with creative ways to talk to families who were losing their loved ones, about Jesus and about eternity. And so it was extremely difficult, but I can honestly tell you that I felt like the Lord prepared me in that time, even though I wanted to quit all the time while I did that schooling. But now working in a prison and doing the death notifications, it seems to be we're doing like 5 to 10 a week of family members who are passing away due to this heroin epidemic.
Oh my.
So that has really prepared me to be able to be there with the families and with the inmates as they're walking through this difficult season of it. Looks like Ohio is leading this nationwide, and I'm not really sure why Ohio, but
nobody
here we
can
are.
Figure out why.
And I feel like the Lord has really prepared my heart to be able to be there for these women and to help them.
God never ceases to absolutely amaze me. Look how you were prepared. In at a point where 16 years ago, it looked like maybe the enemy had won that one. But no way. God had a plan, get out of his way, and look what he will do. This is just incredible. And then I think, how many of yous are there that are going to go out and have ministry at that point, that at this point, today, they're incarcerated. But 16 years from now, who knows what they're going to be doing.
Absolutely.
You are a little seed that's gotten planted, and watch God work once he's in their hearts. Oh, my goodness. Well, look at the time. We do need to take a little break here, and we're going to be back and find out more about breaking the chains, visiting with Jill Sullivan who works right there in the prisons. She is in the trenches. And Olivia Hirschberger from Simply Give. Stay with us. You're listening to Our Community.